and welcome to this Bonita Soft webinar. My name is Talia. I'm the community evangelist for Bonita Soft. Today we will discover our Bonita trainings for community members. So maybe you are thinking like, which one is the one suitable for you? Maybe you are a business analyst or a project manager, a developer, assistant admin, or an IT administrator. So I think we can have the good answer for you. So that's why Victor García Pereda is here with us, and he will give us a guided tour through our Bonita trainings. So you can, leverage your knowledge and start creating better processes with Bonita. Who doesn't want to create better processes for your company and what you do? Victor, thank you. Thank you again for being with us today. I think it's up to you. Please give us a little bit more details about the Bonita training.
Thank you, Talia. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Victor Garcia. I'm from Spain, but I'm living in France, and it's been 7 years and a half since I'm here. I'm part of this great Bonita Soft family. So a little bit of background. So at the beginning, when I came the first time, we were about to release the Bonita 7. We were still in Bonita 6 version, and I was developing different applications for our showroom as a pre-sales consultant. After that, I was working with customers from our professional services team as a technical consultant. So I was getting a lot of experience and knowledge, developing different customer projects and so on. And one of my duties was to deliver trainings. So I discovered at that moment that I love to train what I learned before. So finally, I became the training manager at Bonita Soft. And now I like to introduce you about the different Bonita training offers we have and the different Bonita certifications that we are offering now to community users. So let's start with a little introduction. Here you are the agenda of today. It's going to be quickly. So let's start with a little introduction about the training. So what is a training, a Bonita Soft training, or a training in Bonita? Bonita Soft is the company. So in the introduction, my idea is to present a little bit to highlight the concepts of a regular training. I mean, it doesn't matter which one, right? So our training offer is based on the people involved in the Bonita project phases. So in a Bonita project, we will discover that we have different phases and different people that intervene in those different phases. So we have non-technical people, we have technical people, we have assistant administrators, we have the management in general. So we will discover what are the different roles, what is the training offer based on that, okay? So our instructors are, well, at least 2 years working with different customers in Bonita, so different projects. They have a background, they have a knowledge, general knowledge, 2 years knowledge of Bonita. So they have a great experience. They are really qualified. They pass the certification. And of course, one of my duties today is to train the trainer, right? So they are certified that they can conduct any Bonita training. They are conducted in different languages, as Talia said, so in French, English, Spanish. Don't hesitate to ask in any of those languages. At the end, the questions, I will spend some time to answer all of them, right, if it's possible. Well, in order to guarantee a minimum of quality, especially if we are delivering the trainings on remote, we said that 8 people max, okay, because more than 8 people remotely, it could be complicated for the instructor, okay? So in order to guarantee a minimum of quality, 8 people max per training session, okay? So as I said, we have remote sessions and private sessions. It's been now 2 years and a half since we are really experts on remote, of course. But yeah, we offer public trainings where everybody can attend. I mean, different people from different companies are all together in that training. So we can discover together the different aspects of the product, Bonita. Or private. So private means that the same people from the same company, they are all together remotely or on-site. Okay, so this on-site aspect is only possible for the private sessions. Okay. And yeah, all the training offer we have includes a certification exam, which means that we can try at least once to pass the exam and get the certification. Okay, I will talk about that later at the end. Okay, so now we have a little bit of background of the trainings in general. And now I want to introduce you, in order to explain the different training offers, what are the different Bonita project phases, and more important, who are the stakeholders that are involved in this Bonita project, right? So here you are the phases: identification, discovery, and design, the implementation, deployment, monitoring, optimization. Okay, those are the phases. And here we are the different stakeholders, the different people. So we can see here if I found my mouse, okay, here, the management. This represents a little bit the needs of a project. So it depends. There are different use cases, right? So maybe it's the needs of a customer because you are a partner, or the needs for a team in order to transform in a digital way the existing processes. So this is the representation, the management of this kind of Bonita need or project need. After that, we have the business team. So usually it's the business analysts, project leaders. Usually it's non-technical people, but they are involved in the product in the early stages and at the end in order to control what's going on, in order to guide the developers, especially on how they need to do things, right? In order to succeed the needs of the project. Usually the end users need to validate and confirm some steps because we need to develop accordingly, right? We have the developers, so the builders of all the project needs. So they bring to life our project, basically. So they develop locally in different environments. And talking about environments, we need the system administrator, right? So the system administrators are in charge of the installation, configuration, security, maintenance, performance, well, all related with the different environments, including the production, of course. So how these people is involved in the Bonita project? Okay, so at the beginning, we have the identification phase, and we find the management, okay, project needs, and the business team. So in this phase, the goal is to define a set of processes identified in the company and give a score. So in that score, we can see indicators of, for example, what are the bounds between projects, what are the limitations, what are the possible risks, I don't know, in order to transform in a digital way all the processes. Okay, so we have the management and the business teams. After that, in the discovery and design phase, first discovery, we have the business team. So basically project leaders, business analysts. And the discovery phase consists on gather the information of the existing processes. So we already targeted some processes in order to digital transform these processes. So we get that information as it is today, meaning that we register who is doing what and when and why and how, okay, everything without intervention. So once we have the big picture of what they are doing today, we can move to the phase of design and we can propose different mock-ups, different, I don't know, different drafts in our process model. So finally, we can consolidate the information in different tasks that finally that will lead to the planning of the implementation of the different needs, right? Because we already understood what they are doing today. So we can extract into little deliverables those tasks, let's say. Okay, after that, we have the implementation phase, which consists on, building everything, right? So the developers are in charge of that. They will use different agile techniques, especially when we are planning all the scope of the project. So we can use a Scrum, we can use sprints in order to develop in different iterations, right? We can have milestones at the end and validate with the business analyst. Well, different approaches. Okay. And of course, they are developing locally, but after that, they need to test in the different environments. So we need the deployment phase, and we need the system administrator in order to install, configure, and maintain those different environments up to the production. So we can deploy what we build in the implementation phase. After that, imagine we are already in production after 2 months. So we have all that information, that business data that we can extract through the key performance indicators, the KPIs. So the business team usually take that information to analyze that information in order to understand what's going on in our process in production today, right? And at the same time, the system administrator will do the same, but targeting the servers. So we can check the health of the server, we can check the health of the performance, etc. And finally, all together, all the stakeholders can brainstorm all that information that was analyzed through the process, and they can start over and over this cycle into a continuous improvement. So we usually say that the Bonita project starts, but virtually never ends, because we always can improve that process over and over. Of course, because we monitor the information that was tracked, and we can analyze and we can take conclusions at the end in the optimization phase. Okay, so this is the big picture I want everybody to keep in your heads, because I think it's really important, and I think it's really cool. Finally, the slide. Well, okay, so we understand what are the different people that involves a Bonita project. Okay, so now let's talk about our Bonita training offer. Okay, let's start with the business track. So the business track, you have here, I put here in a little way the phases. So we have the business track for business analyst, for project manager, process manager. Well, people familiar or not with BPMN, which is the methodology, business process modeling and notation that we are going to use to model our process. And they are involved in these phases. So in the training, we are going to cover all the aspects in the different phases. Okay. This training for business analyst, let's talk in a generic way, it's about 3.5 days. Okay, so usually it's a remote training, but we can deliver that on site. If it's on site, it's going to be 2 full days. Okay, 1.5 day more, because of course, if we are in front of each other, we have questions, we give a little bit more of time. Okay, because we understand all that. We have one try, as I say, at the end of the training to pass the certification exam. Okay. Just to give you a little bit of context, we can check the agenda together. So hold on a second, because I have the LATAM agenda over here. So internally, we call this LATAM, is the acronym of Living Application Design and Management. Okay, and this is the agenda inside the training for the business track. We have an introduction of the company, Bonita Soft. We talk about the Bonita applications, and we start with introduction to BPM, all the project management, where I explain all the different phases. Okay, so we discovered together that this is a really important chapter. Another important chapter is the KPI. So we need to identify the goals. And once we have a goal and objective, we can set the key performance indicator. Okay. We talk about the data model. Okay. We talk about the different elements in the BPMN grammar that we are using in Bonita Studio. We talk about the user interfaces, actors, integrations, and we give a big picture of what you can do with Bonita. Okay, so that was the business track. I lost my, okay, here. Okay, let's continue. So now let's talk about the developer track. So this is our main training. Okay, this is like the top one according to the to the requests. So for developers, we are in the different phases: implementation, deployment, and optimization. And this training is for developers, meaning that they have a technical background. They are backend developers. They are familiar with Java, with any object-oriented language. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's not Java, it's okay. You have the knowledge of the other languages based on that. So you know web applications, how they work, you know REST APIs, you know JavaScript object notation, and so on. Okay, so you are a developer, front-end or back-end, it doesn't matter. And this one is conducted through 8 half days, remotely, mainly. But it could be on site if it's private, okay? 5 full days. Again, we have included 1 try for the certification exam. Okay, so at the end of the training, we can access to the certification exam. I will explain that a little bit more into details later. And let's see the agenda. So here is the agenda for the LAD, Living Application Development, for the developer track. Well, there is a lot of information. I'm gonna try to, well, you know, Bonita Soft as company, a little bit of background, introduction to BPM, Bonita applications, Bonita project management, in order to understand what I just explained, right? The logical architecture, the different products we offer, the studio, highlights of the studio, and we start with variables and documents, different process data, right? The gateways, we do the description of everything. All the chapters, or almost all the chapters, contains an exercise, okay? And all the exercises are explaining everything, what you need to do to achieve the exercise, okay? So gateways, different events in general, timers, messages, error management, etc. Business data management, so the BDM. Generally, we talk about the business data model, contracts, the forms and the human task forms. We talk a lot about our UI designer, which is our pages and forms editor and layouts for the application. So you see, we talk a lot and we practice a lot as well. Bonita organization, actors, actor filters, connectors, error handling, messages, call activities, multi-instantiation and loops, profiles, which are basically something important, especially for the subscription edition, because that doesn't exist, at least in 2022. That you cannot create custom profiles in the community version, but in the subscription version you can, and it's really interesting because it's like a permission, right? Bonita default applications, Bonita's applications in general, best practices, and this is the first part of the training. Okay, this is performed in 5 half days. In the 3 last days, we talk about, in a more technical way, let's say, about the server, the Bonita runtime. So we install a server, we know how to configure, we know about the services architecture. We talk about the engine API, which is the Java API, REST API, UI designer deep dive. So we practice a lot and we have a lot of demonstrations on how to do nice interfaces and how to use the widgets. We talk about the resources of an application, the REST API extension, something that I consider key for a developer because that allows to create like a mini service for your own. So it's really great, well, that gives you the power of doing many different things. Really great. Okay, we have the power of the live update in the Bonita application. So we talk about the live update. And finally, we know how to create custom connectors. Okay, so basically, this is the agenda for the LAD. Well, you see, 8 half days, a lot of content, but yeah, we understand everything. So it's it's the main training today, let's say. Well, and finally, we have the system administrator track or IT admin track. Okay, so it's about the deployment, monitoring, and optimization. So this is for IT. Mainly, they are in charge of that, the servers administration. This is performed in 3 half days. So again, we have a lot of exercises and a lot of theory combined in order to understand all the administration tasks. Okay, how to install, how to configure, how to administrate, how to, I don't know, change the license, and well, many different administrative tasks. We have one try to pass the certification exam, like in the other trainings. And let's see the agenda. So for the system administrator track, we talk about the Bonita applications or Libby applications in the past. We introduced the BPM, how to install a server, how to configure the server through the setup tool, how to administrate, what kind of resources we can deploy, how to deploy the resources, what's the evolution of the resources, how to control users, what's the service architecture of Bonita internally, so authentication, event handlers, archive, purge tool, okay, all the stuff we have inside the Bonita runtime. We changed the authentication service, so we talk a lot about the authentication. This is really important for a system administrator. So we practice as well a lot. We configure an LDAP server or we connect to a remote LDAP server and we change the authentication. We use the LDAP synchronizer, another tool that we provide by default. Well, we talk about how to redirect the HTTP traffic. Okay, so we can set our engine in clustering in different nodes of the same cluster. We talk about the security, so this is really important, right? Performance tuning, how to perform, how to keep in good shape our server. The part of maintenance, so the typical maintenance operations for a system administrator, okay, the typical things. Bonita update, this is one of the maintenance operations, right? So how to update the version of Bonita on an existing production server, for example, okay. And finally, we talk a little bit about the customer service center, which is only for customers, but just to give you an idea about what you can do if you become a customer, okay? Right, so that was the training offer. Let's talk about the Bonita certification. So again, I'm going to introduce a little bit what is a Bonita certification. And after that, I will explain different examples of what we have inside the exam of the certification. Okay, so for us, it's important to have certifications because we need to assure that the people understand what we offer in the trainings, right? So for us, it's really important to know that, okay, the trainee, okay, have passed the certification, so we can validate that the trainee is ready to develop or to conduct the first Bonita project. Okay, as simple as that. So we are evaluating many different topics covered through the training session. So we have that questions in the certification. As simple as that. I mean, it's not a big deal, but you need to prove that you have the knowledge, right? Okay, it's included in all the Bonita training courses. Okay, so it's normal. It's you can choose the language. Okay, so we want to get rid of the different idiomatic barriers. Okay, no idiomatic barriers. You choose your language. Of course, French, English, or Spanish. We don't have Portuguese. Sorry for that, or Italian. But okay, at least it's English, right? You understand what I'm saying, right? Even though I'm Spanish. Well, okay. Okay, we have an idea on how you need to pass the training certification. Okay, so after the training, we suggest, it's not mandatory, I mean, but we suggest that the top is going to be 2 weeks. So you have up to 2 weeks in order to review the training material that we provide, of course. Review all the exercises, review the theory, practice, go to the different YouTube channel that we have, well, not different YouTube channel, YouTube videos in our YouTube channel. Check the documentation, practice yourself, get ready, be prepared, feel free to ask, I don't know, be ready, feel comfortable to say, okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna pass the certification. So do it. And we suggest not after 2 weeks, because after 2 weeks, maybe you had a lot of information in your head, fresh information after the training, and slowly if you are not using that, you're gonna lose everything. Use it or lose it, right? So this is a great suggestion. Okay, just to say something about the certification, well, this is a Bonita application, okay? The whole certification process, it's a Bonita application full of processes to auto-evaluate everything, okay? So it's important to know because sometimes we are using things that we can use to teach, but at the same time, we are using those things, you know what I mean? So it's really great to know that this is a process made with Bonita. As I said, if you try the certification and you don't pass the certification, don't worry. That's not the purpose. I mean, you were in a training, getting a lot of information. You need to practice. Maybe we detected during the certification that you are missing some topics. You need to improve those topics. In fact, this is the idea. So we cannot give you the certification because we detected that. Okay. But you can practice those because the rest it's fine. I mean, so you continue practicing, and after that you feel comfortable and say, okay, I want to retry. So you can retry. Okay, unlimited retries. Okay, they are billable, which makes sense, right? But at least one try, it's included in the training session, in the training offer. Okay, so if you don't pass the first time, maybe the second time, because you get prepared more, right? This is the idea. Okay, so what I said, no, we are going to detect all the topics that you need to improve. So what are these topics? No, next question. So for example, for the LAD, the developer track certification or training, in fact, we are covering all these topics. Okay, actors, application, architecture, connector, contract, forms, gateways, REST API, extensions, timer events, all the different. They are almost the same that I mentioned chapter by chapter, right, in the PDF for the agenda. So everything will be evaluated, and during the training session, you will cover all of them. So makes sense. Okay, so what's the certification about? I mean, we have one theoretical exam, meaning that, okay, all the different training offers for business, for developers, for system administrators include this theoretical exam, which is a multiple choice questions. Okay, so we have 40 questions, A, B, C, D. One single answer is valid, is possible. And they are randomly calculated. I talk about that, no? That this is a Bonita application based on processes, right? We have a pool of all the different topics, and we have a pool of different questions. So we are getting randomly each question. You have 1 hour to pass the exam, okay? Otherwise, automatically the form will be submitted. So if you don't pass, you are in the 38, and suddenly, bam, the time is over, automatically will be submitted. So maybe you missed 2, but the rest was correct. I don't know, makes sense, right? Those are the conditions. And the most important condition is, of course, you need to pass 34 correct answers, so which represent 85% of the total. Okay, so this is for all the training offer today, 2022. An example. Question. Bonita's integration points allow communication with external information system. Which of the following is correct? Several answers, only one is correct. I can use a Bonita connector in a human task form, in a gateway, at the beginning or at the end of a process or a task, in a page or layout. What do you think? Okay, another example. Process lanes are used inside the process pool. What can be done with them? Okay, I can declare a form in a lane. I can declare an actor in a lane. I can declare a REST API extension in a lane. I can declare an organization in a lane. Okay, so only one is correct. Okay, so that was the model multiple choice questions exam, but there is another exam, which is the use case development, the hands-on exam, only for developers, okay, because it's technical, the evaluation is technical. So the goal here is to achieve 5 exercises. So we provide 5 exercises. You import those exercises, which are processes, and those processes are not working, but we give you instructions about how to make them work. Okay, so we have different scenarios, different instructions in different languages. We have a nice living application explaining everything, right? The instructions. In fact, in the Bonita trainings, you have exercises, and each exercise have a correction explaining everything with screenshots, step A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. So you cannot miss that. I mean, it's really, so these instructions are kind of the same. So, well, maybe I said something at the end. Okay, we calculate that 2 hours, it's more than enough to complete the 5 exercises, okay? So usually people, this part is the best part. I mean, almost all the people pass this exam, okay? Because, well, there are 5 exercises, but you need to pass 4 out of 5, okay? So it's not really a big deal, okay? You just need to follow the instructions and test yourself in your local environment with your Bonita Studio and be sure that everything is working as we are asking for. And once you feel ready, well, you will receive, of course, an email with instructions, and you will access to an application with instructions, okay? But finally, you are going to deploy those processes. So you are going to build and after deploy the processes in order to get the evaluation of what you've done automatically, okay? An example, okay? Imagine we have a process. I put here the instructions. Of course, the instructions are, as I mentioned, it's in a living application in a page. Okay. So we have a process objective. Replace all the pink abstract gateway. Of course, I removed the color, so we don't know it's pink. But okay, that was pink before I removed the color. So we need to replace those abstract, these abstract tasks that say gateway with the corresponding gateways. Okay, so let's check the solution. Okay, exclusive gateways. Okay, that was just an idea. So this kind of examples, this kind of exercises with maybe more instructions, different scenarios. So it's not all about gateways, right? But you keep the idea, I think. You get it. So finally, to conclude a little bit, what are the next steps? Because you know the training offer, you know the Bonita certification. Okay, so the idea is for you, community users, contact training at bonitasoft.com. Okay, training. And you can ask for your training session or to get guidance about what's the best training offer for you according to your needs. So we can answer and we can establish a relationship, right? If you are already customers or partners, yeah. Unless you don't know, you can create a support ticket, you access to the customer service center, and you have an option there to ask for a training session. Okay. So for me, that's all. Let's see if we can answer all your questions. So let me know, Talia.
Thank you, Victor. So yes, we have some questions. I'm going to read them to you. Are these trainings focused on the community edition?
No, good question. All the trainings are delivered in a subscription edition. So we provide a license, a 30 days license. So during 30 days, you can test the subscription edition.
Okay, and I believe they will know what the enterprise edition contains and what the community edition doesn't. And so you can have like the delta of this, right?
Yeah, we can explain that during the training, yes.
Okay, great. So you talk about as well, there is theory and practice. Do you have like a percentage of how much of these trainings is hands-on?
To succeed the certification, I think is the question. Otherwise, I will read your question again. I think the question is about. Yeah, it's about how, in order to get the certification, right? So it's half and half. I mean, there is no like 60, 30, and 40 exercise. No, you need to pass both of them.
I think the question was more like how much is hands-on during the training?
During the training, a lot. Especially for developers and the system administrators, is a lot. Well, you can tell Talia, you pass as well the training, but yes. We have the theory. So this is, sorry for that. Maybe I didn't mention that, and maybe it's important. So each chapter contains the theory, demonstrations. I'm sharing myself or any instructor the knowledge and the best practices. Be careful here, and you should do that. In that case, so we are mentioning different use cases for all the chapters, and we have a hands-on exercise after that. So yeah, this is the basic behavior of all the trainings.
Great, thank you. What about the prices of these trainings?
Okay, so the idea here is to get in touch. So I suggest to send an email to training@bonitasoft.com so we can discuss not the price, but we can establish the relationship, because maybe we are interested on what do you need, what are you doing with your project, how we can help you, right? This is the purpose of the training, help you in the right direction. So in that way, we can establish a communication, and finally, we can send you a commercial proposal. So I hope that makes sense for you.
Thank you. Two more questions. I think they are very linked to the previous one. Do you target teams or just individuals? And is the certification permanent, or does it has to be renewed?
Good question. So I'm targeting all kind of audience here. So especially if you have a great, not great, you have I don't know, more than 4 people, you have a development team. So for you, it's going to be like private. The session, I think, makes sense. So, but it doesn't matter, because as I said, we have public sessions. So you have only 1 or 2 developers, you can jump into a public session. If you have more than 4, I think it's worth it to take a private one. Okay. So yeah, that's the first one. And according to the certification, the certification is based on the current version of the product. So if you pass the certification today, you're going to be certified, if you get the certification exam, on 2022.1, which is the current release of the year, right? The first one. So it's your best interest to get the certification in 3 years, for example, because otherwise the product will evolve, So in that case, you will need to say, okay, this is a little bit old, so I'm interested on taking another try for the certification. Maybe you already know the knowledge, the product didn't change a lot. I don't know, maybe you are interested to refresh some concepts.
Okay, great. So yeah, is this recording will be accessible? Yes, to show to my manager or my coworker. Yes, we will put as any other webinar, so the replay, and we'll send you the email with the link. So yeah, don't worry. And yeah, well, we don't have more answers, and it's time to say goodbye as well. So thank you a lot for being here today. As a reminder, we have a beta version that just got out last week, so don't hesitate to try it out. And if you would like to know more about trainings, so please write an email to training@bonitasoft.com, and see you for next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.